All right.
Everything's plugged in, recording.
I know, man. I know. So you know what's funny about that? Yeah, I gotta tell you a story. Because the world's upside down now, so I gotta figure stuff out. On Wednesdays we have, well, not every Wednesday, it's like every other Wednesday or twice a month, whatever it ends up being. We have this meeting at school that's after school. It's an extra hour. We're contracted for it. It's an extra hour twice a month. They're called PLCs. It's the biggest waste of time you've ever heard of in your life.
It's the whole staff.
Everyone, nurses have to do PLCs.
Oh,
it's
my God.
friggin' ridiculous. And everyone knows it's the biggest waste of time that there is in schools. And that's saying something because there's plenty. 4 years ago, I forgot that there was a PLC, and I'm at the grocery store, and one of the gals at school one of the gals from school calls me. She's like, "Where are you?" Or texted and is like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, the hell do you mean, where am I? Where the hell are you? Why are you asking me where I am? What do you care? And she's like, we have PLC. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So the running joke for 4 years has been, dude, we have PLC today. Dude, we have PLC today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, okay, that was 4 years ago. Okay, can we get over that now? Well, just last week, I was literally talking with people, and I just bolted right out, and I'm halfway down the parkway because I was going to get bunk beds for my kids. And Rob calls me, one of the teachers. I'm his mentor, and he's calling me to tell me that we have a meeting. And I'm like, dude, I'm so.
And we're back.
So I don't hit record. I don't go to meetings. I'm a real professional. Yeah, let's hit record here and we'll get started. I got Super Bowl review, Super Bowl questions you have. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I got a few for you there.
Waste Management Open. I have some NBA stuff. You know what's funny about the NBA stuff is I don't even watch the NBA. I watch the news. I watch the highlights, but I don't watch the games.
Yeah.
Isn't that odd? It interests me from that point of view, and maybe the drama interests me a little.
Well, I think that's
but not the games at all.
I think that's more to your point on what's going on, how fucking bizarre.
It's drama. Yeah, it's just drama. It's not.
So I watched the whole Knick game last night, and I wish I didn't. And then next week, I think if we got some slow things going on, we'll do baseball lockout.
Okay,
we'll
sounds
do
good.
Some thoughts on that if it's
so. So I got Waste Management. I got NBA. I got what we're watching this weekend and 56s. Right. So I don't know. This is probably not going to be the longest one. Although I do have a bunch of. I wrote down a bunch of things for a Super Bowl. So
yeah, I do too. We probably have some of the same, but
I'm sure we do. Are you ready to get started?
Yeah, bud.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bump and Run. I'm Pete Colasano, joined as always by my good friend Scott Bracey. What's going on, dude?
Good afternoon, sir. Did you enjoy the Super Bowl?
You know what? I did. I had my kids with me, and a buddy of mine came over. Chris Coleman came over. Chris Coleman, who once subbed for you on the show.
Yep.
Nice of him to come by. Brought some fantastic buffalo tenders.
Ooh,
big fan.
What was the alcohol of choice?
I think I was just having vodka cocktails. He was having Pabst Blue Ribbon. Hard find these days, but he brought over a Pabst Blue Ribbon. Pabst Blue Ribbon still comes in the rubber or the plastic ring holder.
Yeah.
It still comes in that, which is fascinating in and of itself, right?
Yeah, because it's such a fresh beer. You want it to be really
lovely.
Really,
you don't want it to be
in.
Tainted by cardboard.
Oh my God.
But then we had for 3 people and 2 kids, we had Big Ziti. I had char siu, however you say that. It's like a charred pork. Don't worry about it. Don't ask me to describe it. I made it. It was delicious, but talking about it is a whole nother story. What else did we have?
Any apps? Buffalo chicken dip or buffalo tenders? That's all he had.
Well, he had the tenders.
But what do you dip it in?
I made a pizza. Cheese? I made blue cheese, of course.
Oh, blue cheese. Nice. Okay. I'm not. All right, you're not a
Russian. Yeah, I'm not a Russian or anything like that. I'm not a communist. So yes, but I enjoyed the game, and we'll get right into that. I have to be honest with you, dude. We've said this for the last 3 weeks now. That first week, they should just get rid of the expanded playoffs and go back to the way it was.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because the last 3 weeks of football have been utterly amazing. Every single game has pretty much come down to the last play or the last drive, and this game was no different. So I assume you enjoyed the game as well?
I enjoyed it, of course. Last bit of football for a while. However, I didn't think it was the most exciting game in the world.
It wasn't.
And I don't know why, because it was always kind of a one-possession game. So
Well,
But
you know what's interesting about that? We've said this a million times on this podcast is that playoffs are rarely about scheme and it's more about players making plays. And for a large part of the game, while the game itself was close and that lent itself to some tension, there wasn't a lot of playmaking going on early in the game. And then OBJ gets hurt, so now you just lost another playmaker. Another receiver for the Rams got hurt. Who was it that got hurt? One of the other receivers. I freaking forget his name.
Well, Woods has been out. OBJ, Skowronek.
Another one got hurt during the game. I can't remember who it was. So he lost one more weapon. So it was like he was down to Cup. It might have been Jefferson. I don't know. One of the other receivers got hurt. And they weren't running the ball. Both teams were stopping the run, which was, again, lends itself to like a more tight game, boring game. It was a really good defensive battle, frankly.
Let's start there.
Okay.
The OBJ injury, I think, really changed the Rams' offensive approach.
Definitely,
Because it looked like they were moving the ball pretty much up and down.
We kind of knew if Cincinnati was going to double team or have their scheme set for Cooper Kupp, which totally makes sense, then that would give OBJ a huge opportunity here. And they were taking advantage of it fully. I mean, he had 3 catches before he got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Touchdown.
So, big catches.
And then McVay was trying to run the ball with Akers. They just couldn't get anything going up front. It was. I tell you, the Bengals. I know it's like the Super Bowl loser always has trouble in the following year, and I know the AFC is stacked, but that team is pretty built to last a little bit.
You talk about the Bengals?
They have cheap contracts right now.
We'll talk about that. Yeah, I actually wanted to bring that up because that's an important point. One of the first things I noticed, I wrote down was that this was kind of like the Burrow versus Stafford show. And this, I mean, like players making plays, and there wasn't a lot of playmaking going on. But then what do you get? That last drive, you could say whatever you want about the whole game, right? And most of the game was even. We've said this. Most of these tight games, most NFL games come down to about anywhere from 4 to 10 plays. That's the only difference in the game out of over 100 plays, right? You got injuries. It's a tight game. They're actually, the Rams were down. And one drive, you get Stafford being what everybody had hoped. Well, I guess if you're Rams fans or anybody who was a Stafford fan, like kind of I think we both were, doing what he was brought in to do. And Cooper Kupp, who was kind of held in check for most of that game, they threw it to him every goddamn play. And the Bengals knew it was coming, and he still got open. And I give credit to both of those guys, because Kupp knew he was going to be doubled, or they were going to have help on him, and he still got open. And Stafford knew that they knew that, and he still got the ball to him, which is impressive.
And they got him on an end around on 4th and 1 too. That went for a first down. And
you're absolutely. McVay has to get some credit too for some creativity during that drive to find different ways. And
they finally looked at him, because a while I know like Beckham went out, and then like the third quarter they were trying to figure out. They got Jefferson a couple catches, but nothing crazy. A couple like 4-yard hit routes. But like they finally, all right, listen, it's our guy, he's the MVP candidate. Let's go to him and let's see what happens. And it worked out.
Players making plays, right? Like you just think of the history of the playoffs, or especially the Super Bowl, and that's what it comes down to. You don't think of like the scheme. You think of Dwight Clark, the catch. They don't call it the deep in catch. It's just the catch. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like it's players making plays, and it really came down to one drive, and Stafford made plays. Cooper Kupp made plays. He's really, really good. And what's interesting, he's been there this is 3rd year there.
I think 4th
year. So he's been there. Goff had him. But this is what happens. This is what you see when there's just that much difference, a 1-inch difference in quarterbacks. Kupp goes from being a good receiver, a really good receiver.
Yeah, because he wasn't terrible with Goff. Not to
bananas. He went berserk this year. He's the first player in history to have the triple crown of what was it? Most receptions, most yards, and most touchdowns. Is that what it was?
And a Super Bowl MVP.
And a Super Bowl MVP. It's an insane year. Yeah, it's just a crazy year for him. And that's Stafford's difference. And let me just say this about Stafford. Any questions that were had before, and we had some as well. Like, you got to prove it, dude. We all knew the physical talent. That was obvious, right? We all knew that. Nobody questioned that anywhere. But the reality was that they weren't very good in Detroit. So that's where it was like, well, can you win? Are you going to come here and are you going to win? Because
Yeah.
the Rams have already won. So you're going to have to take them even further.
Correct.
All those questions have been answered. Those questions should never be raised again. There are questions of Hall of Fame, and I'm happy to have that discussion. But as far as is he a winner? Was it a good move? Was it a good trade bringing him in? That question's been answered. It's a resounding yes.
Well, to answer your question about the Hall of Fame, he's not calling it quits. We got more years to put on this resume. So
I've heard people say he just solidified himself in the Hall of Fame.
I wouldn't go either way.
Slow down.
I wouldn't say yes or no.
Let's slow down. I'm just not willing to put him in the Hall of Fame. Like if he retired this year, I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer. He's had like 4 or 5 winning seasons.
He's definitely not first ballot if he retired this year, but you probably eventually
slow
get
down.
in. But
you know what the shame of that is? You're taking away what just happened by turning it into something else, a discussion about something else. Why do you have to even talk about, well, Hall of Fame maybe? Dude, he just won the Super Bowl. Can you let him enjoy it for a couple minutes? Like,
I know.
For God's sake.
I know.
I hate those kind of discussions. And this is what happens when it's an everyday show and you got to find something and you got to shock people and all this stuff. It's a shame. But he really showed up.
Can he say he's going to Disney World yet before we start killing the guy?
Oh, my God. I know. Well, that was the thing, too, right? He won a Super Bowl. He doesn't have a Super Bowl MVP. It's an unnecessary discussion.
Well, I would argue this, too. I know we could do this 100 times, but like if you're putting Matt Ryan in, you can put Matt Stafford in. Yeah, Matt Ryan has an MVP. But he also choked his ass off in a Super Bowl, and Stafford did not. So
we could argue about Matt Ryan, right? I'm not so quick to say Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer. I would probably argue with that. You know my argument. If I have to think about it for more than 3 seconds, it's a no, because it's supposed to be special. The NFL isn't quite like that. I think they're pretty lenient about letting guys in.
Well, I was just going to say, I think we could have a discussion another time about I feel like I know there's the most positions in a Hall of Fame. I get that. But I feel like we're letting people in that are kind of and listen, I'm the biggest Terrell Davis guy you'll see. The fact that he's in is like, I don't know, man. Like,
because it was such a short sprint of
it was 4 years. I know he won 2 Super Bowls in the 4 years, and he got Elway over the top, so he gets a little intangible vote there, I think. But
it's so short.
My God, dude, 4 years.
Short. When you consider that with Major League Baseball, Sandy Koufax only played 9 years, and people question, well, should he get in because he only played 9 years? Yeah, but for every one of those 9 years, he was the best pitcher in the goddamn league.
Yeah.
4 years. Now you're talking 4 years. It's half of, I'm a gym teacher. It's about half of 9. So, it's rough. I just don't like that. I think it's supposed to be special. It's we've said it a million times. It's not the Hall of really good or the Hall of great. It's the Hall of Fame. It's supposed to be for the elite, for the very, very special. I know they want to fill that place up, and I know they want to have the big ceremony every year, and I get that. But it really don't dilute it and take that away from guys who have made it. That's makes me it bothers me a little bit. Burrow played with the banged up. It ends up being like a sprained MCL. We kind of knew we knew on that play he was pretty.
Burrow and Stafford both got twisted up late in that game. But dude, Burrow did you see the video that came out today or yesterday about him introducing himself to half the Rams team?
I didn't watch it, but I saw that it was there.
It's so good. It's just so like Burrow. He's just
he's a cocky little bastard, isn't he?
Vaughn. Hi, I'm Joe.
He's a cocky bastard.
He's a little,
and I like it. No, I like it because he backs it up.
But I also like that he's like, these are legends. Like Weddle and Von Miller and Aaron Donald. Donald kind of ignored him, but Miller and Weddle talked to him a little bit, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And with stuff like that, you get to see like the human side of these guys, that they're not just robots going out there.
Exactly, like dude, like he's letting them know, hey, bro, I'm chill.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get to me today, like
absolutely. I got down here that the Bengals defense is pretty good, Even coming into this game, there were people like, well, the Bengals defense is the weakness of their team. And I'm like, they're in the Super Bowl. They just basically shut down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs for 2.5 quarters. Do they get no credit?
Before that, they shut down Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown.
Yes. I mean, come on.
I agree with you.
And they had that game, I don't want to say had it won, but they had it within reach. They had it. They were winning.
In position to win. Yeah.
They were definitely in position to win.
That middle linebacker played it. He played his ass off. That kid's nasty from all.
You're talking 55?
Yeah.
Okay, so that one play is the only one. I got beef with that, man, because the refs swallowed their whistles, and thankfully so. I like that they let the players play. Okay, let the players decide the Super Bowl, not some referee. But But dude, that was not interference. There's no way that was interference. I hate that they make that call. He barely touched him.
it's a
I don't want to
payback
hear
call.
that it was like,
Payback call.
yeah, I don't like that shit. Because
No,
then
I
it costs
agree.
the game. It's not worth it. But that's besides the point. So that defense is really good. And it made me think, I got this written down here. The Bengals are like maybe 3 players or 4 players away from being maybe the best team in the league.
So they're a shutdown corner away.
Yes.
They're a left tackle away.
I was going to say 2 offensive linemen.
Yeah, probably 2. And
Maybe
what
another
would you
defensive
say?
back or
Maybe,
linebacker.
maybe a return guy or something like that.
Something else.
But
I'm trying to
return
give
guys
a
are like out of football now. They don't even like.
They're really good and really close, dude. I mean, you and I both thought they'd be improved this year. Neither of us saw this coming, not even close.
No.
The fact that they're this far ahead of schedule, and you still have a Joe Burrow who's on his rookie contract, so he's cheap relatively.
Yeah.
You have a Jamar Chase on his rookie contract. I think that defensive end,
Higgins is what, year 2 as well. Like him,
they're very young. They don't have to get rid of anybody. Anybody of real substance. Mixon is he's a running back anyway, so who cares if he wanted to leave?
Yeah.
This is a good football team. I really expect them to be in the hunt for a while. I really do. And when you have that quarterback who has the confidence of his entire team, and I don't just mean the offensive side of the ball, I mean the entire team, the coaching staff, the front office, the owner, they all believe in Joe Burrow. He only helped himself by playing that second half with the messed up knee. That only adds to who he is and what he means to those guys. I know that there's, we kind of see it every year. The team that loses the Super Bowl usually ends up missing the playoffs the next year, or they struggle or whatever. And listen, who knows with injuries? This team is not that. I'm just going to tell you right now, this team is not that. They're the best team in their division, so they should win the division again, assuming no major injuries, right? But they're the best team in their division. They beat all the best teams in the AFC. They beat the number 1 seed, and they beat Patrick Mahomes to get here, and they're only going to get better. Burrow's going to be better. As crazy as it is to say, Jamar Chase is probably going to be better after the rookie year that he just had. They should go out and do whatever they have to do to protect Joe Burrow, and then this team will be, I'm telling you what, dude.
And
it'll be as good a team as you've seen in years.
Great part about that is, about their roster right now, they don't have to go out and get playmakers. They have to go out and get so they can go top 3 picks. They can get linemen.
Oh my God, dude.
They can get. You can't tell me a free agent doesn't want to go play with Burrow and those guys. You got to be kidding
right. That's how the quarterback, having the guy, changes everything. Nobody ever wanted to go to Cincinnati.
No,
right? They either had to overpay or not even bother.
Right.
And now it's a destination because you have the guy. Yeah, you have the guy. And you don't have to overpay. The people are going to want to play there. It's amazing what happens when you have the guy.
This may get a comment out of one of my best friends who's watching right now as we speak, and this is blasphemy, but can we say maybe the Bengals take over the Steelers' domination in the NFC North? Oh my God,
there's no doubt about it. The Steelers are not the competition in that division right now.
And Cleveland's not even close anymore after a down year.
Well, I don't know.
And Lamar Jackson now, is he showing signs of being banged up now in the near future? I know Burrow is too. Burrow gets banged up too. But they're different type of quarterbacks.
Oh, totally. There's a way to save Joe Burrow. There's no real way to save Lamar because of the way he plays or chooses to play and the way they use him, which is smart. They use him the way he should be used because that's his skill set. But there's no question who the best team in that division is right now and is going to be.
Yeah.
Like you just said, they don't need to go after any skill position players. I mean, any. Running back, tight end, wide receivers, covered. They need offensive linemen and defensive backs. That's it. That's scary when you think about it, dude.
They just locked up Zach Taylor for a couple more years, too. He's
incredible.
Not going anywhere.
This is another amazing story, right? This guy was going to get fired.
That's why sports is awesome. Sports
Isn't it? It's just the best. It's just the best.
All right, what a day. You want to talk about the best. What a day for Van Jefferson. Super Bowl champion, and then minutes after the game ends, has his second baby. His wife was at the parade yesterday. What a warrior. Good God.
You'd be hard pressed. You'd be hard pressed to have a better day than that in your life.
Yeah.
If somebody's I don't know, maybe hit the lottery, but he's already a friggin' millionaire, so he doesn't have to worry about that. Like, that's a hell of a day. That's
Do you
a hell of a
remember?
day.
Do you remember his dad?
I don't.
Wide receiver Sean Jefferson played with the Patriots for a little while.
Vaguely now, vaguely.
Yeah.
I don't quite remember.
And what's cool about that is he's the wide receiver coach for the Cardinals, so they play each other twice a year.
Oh my God, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, cool, right?
Crazy. That's crazy. What else do I have here? Okay, so I mentioned that. Okay, so we talked in the beginning of this game about the end of the game, that last drive, and that's what I wrote down as a championship drive, right? And I'm trying to think back in the history of Super Bowls drives like that. Now, the first one that came to mind for me was like San Francisco against, I think it was against Cincinnati, as a matter of fact. And the story of Joe Montana telling these guys, "Hey guys,
John Candy.
You see who's there? It's John Candy." And they're like, "What the hell is he talking about, man?" And then they go on the drive to win the Super Bowl. Can you think of
one that popped in my head was Big Ben to Santonio Holmes in the corner of the
yes.
end zone?
You're right. Santonio Holmes.
That popped in my head. And you could reverse it too. How about the defensive stand the Rams did to the Titans?
The opposite, right? Right on a 1 yard line. Away,
yep. You know, like stepping up there.
Even New England, their first Super Bowl, they drove down and kicked a field goal.
Yep.
A pretty long field goal.
Yep.
But that's what makes it different, right? That's what makes it epic, historic, however you want to say it, legendary. You remember the drive. You don't remember the scheme. You just remember specific plays, right?
Yeah.
Like you just said the play. I don't know what the hell happened in that play. I know a pass was completed, but I remember a play. You know what I mean? Like at the tackle at the 1 yard line. You remember players making plays, and that's all that matters. And really, that's what it comes down to. You know, that's what it comes down to. Get your guy the ball. Get your quarterback in a position to make a play. I love that kind of stuff. It's amazing because the whole season doesn't work like that. It's all about scheming guys open, scheming plays open, and then the playoffs come and it totally changes. And it's about
and you're also playing bad teams during the year and stuff.
Absolutely,
and guys are out more.
You don't want to unload everything in your playbook. You don't want to show everything. I mean, Belichick is classic for this. You know, from week to week changes everything.
Especially playing the same team twice. You know, a couple times and.
Yeah. We didn't even mention Aaron Donald yet. Good God. The guy is just on another level. The question became, of course, immediately when that game ends is where does he rank all-time defensive linemen and defensive havoc makers? Because he just causes havoc. He single-handedly pretty much shut down the Bengals in the last drive. An amazing play. Was it on Joe Mixon? Mixon's about to get the first down, and he kind of just from behind wrapped his arms around his waist and pretty much pulled him back before he got the first down.
Was it Mixon or was it Pirine?
I don't know who the running back was. It might have been Pirine. He was basically past them and he just reached out and nope, incredible. And then obviously the last play against Burrow. He's a disruptor. I definitely put him. So as far as D lineman for me, Reggie White to me is just the all-time most insane disruptor that there ever was. He did it for two teams. He did it for such a long period of time. The guy was a freak and just freakish strength. How many videos have we seen? Guys, go to YouTube and look up Reggie White and watch him just with one arm take a 330-pound tackle and literally just toss him to the side like he's a rag doll and go get the quarterback. Athletic, strong, freakish, just incredible.
And that was in the late 80s, early 90s too,
80s
man.
And 90s, yeah. I got to put Aaron Donald on that level now.
You have to.
And he's a defensive tackle, so it's a little different. But the havoc that he causes from that position it's unlike anything I've ever seen.
I read an article about him late last week about like college options because I'm like, let me see like what other choices he had besides going.
Where did he go?
He went to Pitt.
Wow, Jesus.
And the article kind of stated where it was like Central Michigan, Kent State.
Really?
I'm like, dude.
Where was he drafted? Like what pick was he? Was it first round?
It was first round, but I want to say like 12. I can find out for you. I don't.
Dude, how much is he gonna make? Doesn't he already make $20 million?
Yeah, he's got to be.
How much are they gonna have to pay him? It's crazy. You're gonna wrap up $25 million in a defensive tackle, but how
on
do
a
you
team
not?
on a team that already's got bad contract, like a lot
all
of
kinds of
contracts.
contracts. You're paying all kinds of guys right now. Where does this money? Who are the accountants for the Rams that they can continue to pay everybody top dollar?
Dude, seriously.
How does Chicago Bears can't get anybody to stay on their team because of the salary cap, but the Rams are friggin' the New York Yankees? Like it's insane to me.
Come on.
It's totally insane. What are you looking up?
Where you got drafted?
Oh yeah.
Oh shit. 13th. That was close.
Yeah.
So,
Had a
dude,
hit.
what a draft.
Talk to me. Go ahead.
2014. Want to guess who the first pick was?
14. God, I don't know.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Oh, what a Jesus. By the way, everybody who said that was a good pickup for Cleveland, talk to me now. I told you. Dummies.
Bortles goes straight to the Jaguars.
Oh,
Sammy Watkins
Bortles.
4. So then we have
Watkins
Khalil
is
Mack, Jake Matthews, Mike Evans, Anthony Barr, who's had a good career, Eric Ebron, Taylor Lewan, the left tackle,
good. Oh, very
Titans, Odell,
Good.
Aaron Donald, Kyle Fuller, Ryan Shazier. Unfortunately, his career got cut short.
Yes.
Zach Martin,
Very
Cowboys, C.J. Mosley.
good. Very good.
So then it's a bunch of Derek Carr,
Very
36th.
good. Is he going to get a new contract?
I don't know what they're going to do there, man. Devontae Adams, 53.
Green Bay trade Aaron Rodgers to the Raiders for Derek
No,
Carr.
let's not do that. Devontae Adams, 53.
Wow.
There's another guy in
Where
here.
did he go to school?
Fresno.
He's really good too. He's really good.
There's one more guy here.
By the way, dude, I gotta be honest with you. I can no longer listen or watch Max, KJ, and Z or whatever the hell they're.
I don't know why you still do, to be honest with you.
What else am I gonna listen to in the morning?
You don't like Booms and Gio?
But I'm in a car. You know, by the time I get in a car,
They're in a car.
Where? Nah, they're New York. I'm down in Atlantic.
Oh, you
City.
don't get. Oh, that's true.
I'm down. Today they're talking. Max Kellerman is the dumbest of dumb, and now I understand why Stephen A. kicked him off of First Take or whatever the hell show they did. He goes because they're talking about Rodgers and maybe going to Denver, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be great. And he goes, but what if you can also get Devontae Adams to go to Denver? I'm like, hey Max, why don't you get the whole goddamn Green Bay Packers to go to Denver, and maybe Denver will send back a bag of practice balls. Like, how are you pulling this off, dude? You're such an asshole. How stupid are you? Like, why don't send Lazard there too? Like, get everybody, and maybe the coach will go over there too because he likes her. Get them all over there. Just move Green Bay to Denver. Like, what a jackass thing to say. Hey, Max, did you ever think that Denver has to send something back? You idiot.
Oh my God. And pay.
It's so pathetic.
And pay.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
You got a $47 million laying around? Because that's what he's on the books for this year.
If they get Rodgers, it's going to be just Rodgers because they just paid Sutton and Tim Patrick. So I'm just letting.
Dude, this is a conversation we're gonna get into this in future weeks.
The
but
next couple of
you're gonna
weeks,
have to pay through the nose, and it's gonna have to be a lot because you're not sending a quarterback back. So, but that's another.
A couple more things here, and then we'll move on. I
Please.
have the Bengals did the exact same thing the Chiefs did in their game 2 weeks ago. The Chiefs are running the ball with McKinnon up their ass, and they went away from it. Yeah. Mixon, I thought, was having a great first half, and then all of a sudden they went away from that.
Stopped. Yeah. I could speak to this as a coach. What happens is sometimes, like, you see things in the passing game. It's easier to see things that you can do in the passing game because once you look, I'm speaking visually, once you look past the defensive line, things are way more spread out. And you can see how things are moving easier, okay? You can see how defenses are rotating and all that kind of stuff. And then what happens is you scheme a really good play, right? You call a really good play. And either the quarterback reads it wrong or makes a bad throw or something doesn't work, but you're like, oh my God, it was there. I can't tell. That's probably the most said comment by offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
It was there, okay? And then once you say it was there, I got to go to it again. And I got to I got to keep going. I got to keep working that. And you get out of game plan and strategy and you get stuck in the moment of it was there. Okay, this may not make sense to people because you don't see this. You don't get to hear a coordinator say this.
Yeah.
You don't get to hear a coach say it. But that's what happens a lot of times. You get caught up in like it was there. And if it was there, you can do it again. You can recreate
you're sitting
it.
up top and you see how the
Yes,
field's like,
especially if you're up top. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it doesn't have to be up top, but especially if you're up top because you get the bird's eye view. But it was there becomes let's try this. It's similar, different formation, different motion.
different motion, right? Yep.
But it's the same thing. It'll still be there. Just read this. Oh, and then the defense changes, and you're like, well, if they're gonna do that, then we can do this. And it's real easy to do with your passing game because it's wide open.
And then at the end of the game, holy shit, Joe Mixon only had 3 carries in the second half.
Now this is going to sound bizarre to most people. There's about 4 running plays.
Yeah.
Now there's 4 to the left, 4 to the right, and there's all kinds of formations, motions, and you can do it differently. Like you can pull fullbacks instead of guards, but there basically is 4 running plays. Okay, give or take. There's like 4 blocking schemes to each side, but there's like countless possibilities in the passing game. So you just get caught in the moment of seeing it, of what's possible. It was there, and then you get stuck, and that falls on the coach. I'm gonna be honest with you. That falls on the coach. Obviously, it falls on the coach because you wonder like why'd they stop giving to him. Well, that's why though. That's why because you get caught and it was there, and it's exciting when you see it. There's nothing worse than like calling plays and it gets stuffed. And you're like, fuck, I don't know what to do now. That's infuriating. But when it was there, it's exciting, and you're like, oh, we gotta go. Like, I want to call something similar, close, make it happen. Same player, different players running the same route. They won't see it coming. Blah, 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 blah. We can do it. 30 plays later, you haven't run the ball at all, and you're like, what just happened? So
Yeah.
that's how that goes down. So
One more for me, dude.
Yeah.
Jalen Ramsey toasted. Couple of times.
He's no shutdown corner. Like he's no lockdown
Revis.
corner. He's a
He's no
shutdown
Revis.
corner. He's no Revis. He's no Dion.
Charles Woodson in his prime with the Raiders, or Ty Law, or
No. He's
even
really good.
Josh Norman, who had a good year too, or
Yeah, he's really good, but he's
Richard
not
Sherman?
that. He's not that.
no,
So,
he talks like he is.
well, and they talk about him like he is, but he's not. Is there a shutdown corner in this league right now? Is there like a pure lockdown shutdown corner? In this
I
league
would
right
say
now?
no, but there's a couple guys that I think are working their way there. Marlon Humphrey for the Ravens, if he's healthy, he's a pretty good guy. I don't know if he plays more safety nickel
Slot.
or corner.
Okay.
Yeah, slot. I say something the other day. Patrick Surtain had a really good rookie
Oh
year.
my God, yes.
That's a really good start.
Do you have that in front of you by any chance?
I could get it. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is worth stating. This has nothing to do with the Super Bowl, but these statistics are bananas. Patrick Surtain, rookie defensive back for Denver Broncos. Now I know Scotty's a big Broncos fan, so that's why this comes up. But the numbers here are absolutely insane.
So he's held 4 players this year to 0 yards.
Which is great.
Not
But
0
then when you
first
see-
downs, 0 yards.
Yeah, which is amazing. But then when you hear who the players are, it becomes absolutely ridiculous.
The 4 players are Terry McLaurin, Tyreek Hill,
Jesus.
Odell Beckham Jr., and a young man you may have heard of called Jamar Chase.
Yes.
Now
Insane.
that's a pretty good rookie start, dude. And I know listen, I'll be the first one to tell you. I wanted Micah Parsons. But I will not be upset with that guy.
Right.
If that's
now,
what
2
we're
things
gonna-
I want to say about that. Number one,
ahead.
if you could right now, would you trade Surtain for Micah Parsons?
Oh my God!
Would you
son of a
swap
bitch.
him?
You
Because it's
son
not
of a
like
bitch.
Parsons had a bad season.
No, no.
Yeah. Tough one,
I
right?
still think I would. I was just hyping him up. I still think I would.
I know.
Yeah,
'cause you could find other defensive backs, man. It's hard to find a Micah Parsons.
Oh God!
He's
Just
so
because
crazy.
he could rush
So
the
much.
passer, cover a tight end, stuff the run.
Play middle linebacker. Yeah. It's
Oh,
crazy.
God.
Second, part 2 of this questionnaire is
Yeah, but
so when Green Bay calls and they say they want Patrick Surtain,
yeah.
because I
think-
texted that to you. When
Yeah.
you texted that to me, I go, oh, I guess he's going to Green Bay.
Yeah.
What's your answer? No,
Yeah, you
we want to keep our corner.
You got to do it because you always got
Gotta
the
do it.
corners, and the quarterback play's been shit. So
Yep, you got to do it, right?
As,
Which is
as,
crazy.
as tough as that would be, but you know what? Giving a guy like that away though might keep another guy you want at home.
Well,
you
yeah,
know-
sure.
you know-
yeah, because
yeah.
that's a valuable piece, dude.
You know what
When
I'm
have
saying?
A
Like-
guy like that's going to shut down the other
Yeah.
team's wide receiver. Hello. Yeah, no, there's no doubt about
Yeah,
it.
because like
It cuts down
like,
on what else you
like
have to
you're
get.
you're getting Surtain or Judy. You're not getting both.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And it even may cut down on how many picks. I mean, because that's
Yeah.
because if any team right now would give up a number one for Surtain, if it's a player like that,
Yeah.
of course you would give up a number one. First of all, he's cheap still because he's on his rookie contract. And what else would you get with a number one pick? You would pick a Patrick Surtain Jr. So like you would take it anyway.
And it's a
So-
risk because you don't know this guy's already proved it.
You already know it exactly.
Yeah.
So it's actually better than a first round pick. So yeah, it's this is the funny thing about this conversation. Where's Aaron Rodgers going? Nobody wants to talk about what Green Bay's getting back.
Mhm.
You know, so we'll talk about this in coming weeks. But you had some questions for me about the
Yes,
Super Bowl,
sir.
right?
I did.
I love questions. I might have answers. I have answers. I just don't know if they're right.
I have 5 for you, sir.
Oh, this is getting hard. It's like a test.
Number
Are they
1.
difficult? Are they difficult? Am I going to struggle with this?
Well, I think you kind of answered one already, but I think 3 out of the 4 you might struggle with. And then we could conversate about it.
I'm intrigued.
Will Sean McVay be back in the fall?
Yes. There's no doubt in my mind. I know the rumors.
Yeah, well, where did this start from, by the way?
I think more than anything, it's a power play. He makes
Is it
$8
the money?
million. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. He makes $8 million a year. The rumors are that Belichick makes about 15.
Well, and Romo's getting 20 to broadcast
Or
games, so
20 or
that helps.
25.
Yeah.
Dude, I got to be honest with you, dude. So coaching is hard. Coaching at the high school level is hard. Coaching at the college level is much harder. Coaching in the NFL is bananas. Look at these guys, dude. They're not McVay is one of the few. They're not exactly the picture of health. And there's a reason for that, because they're up at 4:30 in the morning, they go to bed at 11 o'clock at night, and it's work the whole time. It's an insane level of stress.
Yeah, you're slopping down a box of lo mein noodles, and that's basically what you're doing.
And that's it. And that's on a good day. So, and then to think instead you can sit in a booth and critique other coaches and double your salary, working 1 day a week pretty much, does sound pretty good. You already got the Super Bowl. It worked out pretty well for John Madden. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, and around the same region of the country.
Question
It
number
wouldn't
2.
be a bad idea. But you know what the funny thing is about that, dude? And this is the part that gets misunderstood. There's an old saying that says, if you take $1 million away, if you take the millions away from a millionaire, they'll be a millionaire within a year. Because it's not the money that makes them a millionaire.
Yeah.
It's the knowledge and skills that they have to become a millionaire that makes them a millionaire. But then because of that knowledge and skills, they don't just stop when they get it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Who is the old the Colombian cocaine guy? There are movies about him and stuff.
Shit. Pacino played him, right?
Well, it's a similar story. He didn't play the exact character, but it was based loosely off of that. And so I show this in school because there was a thing how during the World Cup that was held in the United States, when the Colombian player who kicked an own goal went back to Colombia, he actually got killed by the cartel that was down there. And so we're watching this story, and some of the kids, the rumors were that he was worth, God, his name is right on the tip of my tongue.
I know, me too. God damn it.
The rumors were that he was worth somewhere between $5 and $8 billion. And the kids were like, why didn't he just stop and just go somewhere else? And I'm like,
You get greedy.
well, it's not just greed. It's because you have to understand the mindset that it takes to become a billionaire. You don't just turn that off. Like, it's kind of becomes who you are. I'm like, yeah, he made $8 billion in cocaine, but that same guy could have made $8 billion doing a lot of other things, because it's the mentality, it's the ability. My point being, as a head coach, whether it's Sean McVay or Sean, what's his face for the Saints, it's
Payton.
real. Sean Payton, yeah, it's real easy to say turn it off and go do something else. See. Tony Romo didn't have a choice. He really couldn't be a quarterback anymore. His time as a quarterback was over. There was no option to go back. But you don't see it very often with coaches that they retire and stay retired. Bill Cowher did, but there was always the allure of trying to bring him back. Jimmy Johnson kind of did, but he went to Miami and then finally retired. But they often, Parcells came back, Reeves came back. They all come back because it's who they are. It's what they do. Even the dude for the Redskins,
Joe Gibbs.
Joe Gibbs came back after starting a NASCAR team. Like, it's hard because it's who they are. So my guess is McVay. I mean, it's who he is. It's who he is. I just
Pablo Escobar was the man here.
Thank you very much, Pablo Escobar. Yeah.
Question number 2: will Aaron Donald retire?
So the funny thing is, there's part of me that would love to see it because I love when guys can retire early. I remember when Megatron, what the hell's his name, Johnson? Calvin Johnson. I remember when he retired, and I was like, you know what? Good for you, dude. Like, you're 29 years old, you're a multimillionaire, you have most of your health intact, and now you can go do whatever you want. Good for you. I don't hold a grudge. I mean, I want to watch these guys play, so I don't want them to retire. That's why I don't want Tom Brady to retire. I don't want Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin to die. Like, I want to watch these guys do what they do forever. But there's a part of me that's like, good for you that you can, and that you were willing to put that aside for something else that you want. So, but I don't think he will. No, I don't think he'll retire. I think he'll play. And I don't know that his is a money issue, but it does seem a little bit like that. So maybe, who knows? They can't pay everybody.
No, and he's got the ball fully in the score right now if you wanted it to be. So.
Oh my God, dude. We
touched on this a little while ago. Will the Bengals win the NFC North next year?
It's impossible to say based on like injuries and stuff like that. But if you're asking me right now who the best team in the division is, I don't even think it's close anymore. Baltimore took a step back. Cleveland did not take a step forward.
Right.
Pittsburgh's definitely taking a step back. There's no way they're making the playoffs next year unless they make some Russell Wilson move or Deshaun Watson move. I mean, those things are possible. And frankly, if they did one of those two, then we're talking a very different story. But as currently constituted, and assuming that most of the moves are just made through the draft and not big quarterback moves, they're the best team in that division, and they're gonna make at least a couple moves to protect Burrow. And if they do, dude, look out. Look out for a while. The Rams, it's a different story. What happens every year when a team wins the Super Bowl? Many of those players who are now free agents,
you get fat and happy.
There's two things. You're right. They get fat and happy. So the offseason, they're not exactly in the kind of shape that they should be. But the guys who are free agents end up getting stupid good contracts from somebody else that they probably don't deserve and didn't earn. It was part of being part of the Rams and being part of that culture. And then they go somewhere else and they don't pan out. But the point is they left the Rams. Those guys aren't there anymore. We're going to see who ends up getting peeled off of the Rams. We talked about in the beginning of the season, the only question we had about this team was their depth and could they stay healthy? If they stayed healthy, they're a real championship caliber team. But if they get hurt in any, major position, it's a problem because they had no depth. Well, they stayed healthy, but now you're talking who's going to get peeled off.
Yeah.
And there will be some guys get peeled off, whether it's OBJ might get a better contract from, so I know he said he wants to stay in LA for less, but if, let's say, Tennessee offers him $18 million and the Rams can only give him 12. It's a better tax bracket in Tennessee. It's a lot more money. You got a chance to win there too. You just don't know. What we do know is that some of those guys won't be there just because of contracts alone.
Man, so, it's almost like you're looking at my paper. Question number 4: where will OBJ be in 2022?
I know. He says he wants to be a Ram.
Coming off of now another knee injury too, man.
Plus, he's kind of an LA guy. Loves the idea of being in LA, being in Hollywood. That fits him perfectly. Again, but you just don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of like something that would be intriguing. Like something like Miami might be intriguing because that's like big lights, big city, fun town. That's an OBJ type town. Green Bay is not exactly like OBJ town.
Right, like Cleveland.
Yeah, like Cleveland. It's not a big fit, but like the Raiders.
Yeah.
Hell, the Chargers, it's still LA.
I tell you, if Dallas didn't have so many studs, but like.
Well, listen, I heard rumors that Dallas was considering moving on from, trading Amari Cooper. So if you trade Amari Cooper and you could save $5 million but get OBJ, so of course that's an interesting fit, right? New Orleans is totally an OBJ type town, right?
Yeah, and LSU guy.
Totally. So. I know what they say, but they all say this right after they win the Super Bowl. And now it's real easy to say you want to stay there when you got a torn ACL because nobody wants you. But We shall see. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's like 50-50 he stays, 50-50 he goes to another team. Where it will be, hard to say. That ACL thing really mucks that up.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean? Because, he's not going to be ready. I doubt he's going to be ready in the beginning of the season.
And it's his second one in the same leg, right?
Is
So,
it the same leg?
I think so.
That
So.
sucks. That sucks.
Yeah.
I did
you know
feel
what?
bad. I'm not a big OBJ guy.
I
but
dude,
feel
I was
bad.
just gonna say I kind of felt myself root for him a
He was
little
having
bit.
a game. Yeah, he was having a game. He was just playing football. He kept his mouth shut. Wasn't doing any stupid shit with the Rams. He was having a game, having a great playoffs, had a good stretch. And it was non-contact on top of that, which
I'm also
sucked.
not a Giant fan, so I'm not super emotional about like how it went down and what happened with Eli and stuff. The only thing I get mad at him when he fucked me in fantasy, but that's really all I got. I felt bad when he went down. I did.
I felt bad. I did. And it, like, you were right though. It totally changed the dynamics of the game. Like, it seemed like the Rams were moving the ball pretty easily, and then that changed things totally.
The toughest question I saved for number 5.
Oh boy, here we go. Let me get a sip because this sounds scary.
Get a sip. Clear the earbuds out.
I'm ready.
Which coach likely to be one and done next year?
In the league, you mean?
Yes.
In the whole league?
In the
Of
whole
new
league.
coaches?
Like Urban was this year, or David Culley was this year. Who's that guy next year, in your opinion? So if you need a refresher, we have Nathaniel Hackett in Denver, Josh McDaniels in Vegas, Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. I believe his name is Mike McDaniel in Miami.
Yep.
Dennis Allen in New Orleans, and that's where I would lean, I think. And we're missing one or two Giants. Dayball.
Lovie Smith.
Lovie Smith, which is another very high candidate with that nightmare of a situation.
Yeah. Well,
and Mr. Eberflus, your boy in Chicago.
I hear so many good things I don't know shit about him. I can only go off of what I hear about him, but I hear nothing but good things about him. Super organized. You know what he sounds like?
It's all going to come down to Fields, bro, in the offense, man.
It's totally going to come down to that. He seems very much like Staley from Chargers. He comes across very Staley-like, and I wonder if that means very what's the analytics like, which would be a fucking mistake. But that's neither here nor there. I'm going to lean on Lovie Smith, and I'm going to give you a bonus answer here. Lovie Smith, he should be fired now because this was a terrible pick. So that's besides the point. I should just get ahead of the curve and fire him now and just start looking for next year. But I'm going to give you another name. I know he's going to be on a hot seat right away, and I can't see him getting off of it because they don't have a quarterback in place. And he will end up being still a candidate, maybe back for college, but I think he'll still be a candidate in the league. Matt Rule. You talk about a precipitous drop.
So he's not one and done, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Not one and done. That's what I'm saying. My bonus is just that I think here's a guy who just understand coming into this draft, coming into this season. He's definitely on a hot seat, which is so funny because he was one of the hot coaches in the beginning.
I loved him going into this year, man. I did.
Yeah, everyone loved him. And before the season even ended, it was like, is he even going to make it to the end of the season? It's like, dude,
I think if Harbaugh went to Minnesota, I think there was a good chance he would have been begging the Michigan's AD for that job.
Right. So yeah, but it's interesting. Lovie Smith. That's just I don't. Nah, we beat that to shit already. So.
Yeah,
and deservedly so.
I'm willing to get back the shovel back out if you want.
It's
just piss poor. It's just
that's the worst. That's the worst coaching hire since Rich Kotite of the Jets. Thank you, Jets. And that's saying something because they've had a couple losers.
You want to go NBA or a little golf?
Let's do a little golf first.
Waste Management Open, which is an absolute blast.
Oh my god! And if you had any questions, go ahead. No, go ahead. You're gonna say it. I can tell.
2 hole-in-ones on the famous Stadium 16th fucking frat house scene.
Dude.
Beer cans getting chucked. You want to talk about dangerous?
Well, I did think about that because they weren't just like chucking them over the edge.
There wasn't like a landing zone. They were all over the place,
launching them. And I was stunned at how many of the guys who were there like weren't ducking or anything. They were just like, it ain't gonna hit me. I'll be okay. But just Coors Light cans flying all over. If you guys have never seen this, it's the only, to my knowledge, it's the only hole on the PGA Tour that's it's a
Closed
stadium
in,
circles the whole hole, the entire hole, and they actually made it bigger this year. And cheering and yelling and screaming is encouraged. If you don't hit the green on your tee shot, because it's par 3, if you don't hit the green, you get booed mercilessly. And God forbid someone hits a hole in one. It rains down silver Coors Light cans.
It's a crime
And
scene.
holy shit, did they drop the bomb? And it happened twice. It's a hell of a thing. It really is probably the coolest non-golf scene in golf. It's just like, because it's so not golf-like. It's because golf is so prim and proper. We clap, we stay quiet when you go. And then you got this one hole on the whole tour that just goes, it's total anarchy. And but God, is it fun to watch?
They're allowed to cheer as a guy is teeing off, which is so ungolf-like.
Anarchy. Yeah.
Justin Thomas played the
and the
hole
players encourage it.
Yeah,
they're not mad about it. They encourage it. Let's go.
Justin Thomas played the hole in a Squints Sandlot jersey, which is tremendous. I love that kid.
Absolutely.
He gets it. He's in this generation of golf that he gets it.
Wendy Peppercorn, come on.
Dude. A couple storylines for that.
There are a couple.
Dude, did you watch? You were tuned in, right?
A little bit. I have my kids with me, so it's a little tough. They're not exactly huge golf fans, but
a young man from the corner.
And by the way, the weather here was so nice.
Yeah.
It was like 65 degrees, and my daughter wanted to go to the beach, and I live right on the beach now in Atlantic City. So we went down. Took a walk down the boardwalk, and we went on the beach, took some nice pictures. So it was a little tough, but
you can't get mad at that.
It's hard to,
so
especially in the middle of February.
A young man from the from the Corn Ferry Tour, Sahith Theegala.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Now this guy, there was an exemption. Someone dropped out, and he was the first guy in line to get moved up. And man, I was texting with Stavali, and I'm like, this guy's not going away. He also looks like he could play free safety. Enormous guy.
Yeah.
Was
he leading after the first 3 rounds?
I don't think the first 3, but I think Friday, Saturday, I think he was.
Okay. I know it was more than one day.
And then to start the day Sunday, Steve threw me a text early when it was still on the PGA channel and not on CBS yet. He was like, this guy's not going away.
Yeah.
Like he was just – and he got such unlucky bounce on Sunday. The ball hit and went bounced into the water, and he was a wreck. The kid's only 23, 24 years old.
Yeah.
His parents were there. They're Indian.
Yes.
And he was crying, and they're like, that's how much like he cared about it. Like this guy's got a huge
especially
future.
When you're that close.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But stories like that, and that's what makes golf like golf isn't such people like worry when Tiger's gone and Phil's gone. Golf's in such a good place right now.
Golf is in good hands. Of course we want Tiger. Of course we want Phil. It's not that we want them to go away. Just like I'm sorry, you don't want Tom Brady to go away. You want Tom Brady to lose. You don't want Tom Brady to go away. Right. But same thing. I don't want those guys to go away. But the game is just fine.
Yep.
The golf game is in very good hands right now.
You will find another guy to love or hate. That's what the way life is. So, Brooks Koepka and Xander Schauffele, our boys, are gearing up for a good run here coming up. They're playing really well golf. Although Koepka is starting to really annoy me. Koepka this year is starting to have the Bryson feel I had last year.
The arrogance is starting to come through. As opposed to cockiness, now it's turning into arrogance and mouthiness. Yeah, and it's like, all right, dude, just dial it down one notch. Just one. We kind of like it. We like the edginess. We don't like arrogance and assholeshness.
Yeah,
that's what we don't want.
He dyed his hair blonde. I'm like, did he dye his hair?
Weird. Now you're getting weird.
Yeah, now it's getting like,
come on.
Yeah, dude, let's dial it back a notch. So that's when he comes close and doesn't win. I'm not too sad about it.
Patrick Cantlay is another guy. I don't know if he was in this tournament, but I noticed was he in this one?
Yeah, he was. He came down. He was in a playoff with.
Right. He's like on the leaderboard every tournament this year. The guy is playing out of his gourd.
Yeah, he's
I know he's a good player. This is not a surprise that he's up there.
No, I get
it's a surprise that anybody is in the top 10 every week. I mean, nobody plays in the top 10 every week. Come on.
And it looks like he doesn't even have a pulse going on. He doesn't blink. Like he's just
yeah.
He's very like.
And for your fantasy lovers, Mike Dean from Dean Dome Sports likes to send me his fantasy lineup for golf.
King lineup,
yeah. Cantlay is almost like $12,000, dude. So it's not it's not known that he's a hot commodity.
I'm gonna have to get Mike's information for the Masters DraftKings. I want to get in one with him there. I think.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, you know what? He sends it to me every week, and Mike, if you're listening,
forward
which I know
over.
you
Yeah,
do, I'll forward that stuff to you too as well.
yeah. He
'Cause
usually
does
comments.
very well
he's
with
not.
that.
He's not joining us.
He's
yet
very
today.
busy. He's very busy putting his second fantasy team together. I'm sure.
Oh, excuse me. And last
And the
one
winner,
here,
the winner of the tournament was
Scotty Scheffler. Yep, his first career win. Which he was a bag of mush at the end. You couldn't even talk to him, the fine and lovely Amanda Balionis. Yeah, what they go three playoff holes, 4 playoff holes?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You're walking on the beach. Excuse me.
It was a lovely day. Let me say this: I had mentioned Scotty Scheffler as a potential winner last year. I want to say it was the U.S. Open.
I want to say it was too, but I don't know why I would guess that.
Yeah, so I think we're both right if we were both thinking the same goddamn thing. Scotty Scheffler is really, really good. So don't look at this as a one-off. You're going to see this happen a lot. Dude hits the ball really long.
Big kid too, yeah.
Big, strong hitter. Great with his irons. Very good putter. And if you're wondering like where he came from, just go back and watch highlights of last year's Ryder Cup. Guy was just killer. He just was an absolute killer. I think he's 23 years old as well.
Oh, that's where he was. Yeah, he killed that. You're right.
That's where that's probably where, if you guys are listening and you watch some golf, you probably first heard about him. He's been on leaderboards multiple times in majors and then just hasn't been able to pull them off and maybe falls back a little bit on Sundays. Ryder Cup in the fall, he went off. I mean, he went off. And they put him in positions where they kind of said almost like, we'll put you in here and we'll take the L, but we'll get wins in other ones. And he went out and won anyway. He's legit. Like,
well,
that's
why they dominated that thing, because they were getting wins from friggin' everybody.
From guys they weren't expecting to.
Yeah.
Trust me when I tell you, they put guys against certain guys and just expect the loss, and they're okay with it because they'll get 2 wins somewhere else.
Yeah.
And instead of that, they got the wins. They got all wins from Scotty Scheffler. He's legit. He's really, really good. Super soft hands around the green too, which is like everything, right? Like that's why Jordan Spieth is so good. He's wild off the tee. But boy, is he tight, around the greens and he one putt. Scotty Scheffler is pretty goddamn straight off the tee and long, soft hands with the irons, really good putt. I'm just telling you guys, do not sleep on this guy. Do not be surprised and pay attention. You're going to see this happen multiple times because now that he's had a taste of it and knows how to get it done, it's going to happen a lot. He's a really, really good player. Really good player. So
hit me with some basketball, brother.
Let's talk some basketball. So this is what's so interesting about the NBA. The NBA in some ways is very similar to Major League Baseball because, it's a grind. It's a long run as opposed to the NFL. There's urgency every single week. Like you just don't know. One loss matters. Whereas in the NBA, 82 games, 1 loss. I mean, yeah, you could lose a playoff spot because of 1 loss, but nobody looks at one game until the very end.
It's not so obvious. Yeah.
It's a long grind. You could point to lots of games and say we should have won that one. But the Boston Celtics this past week and a half or so have been very interesting to me because they were like floundering around, maybe not playing up to expectations. They brought in a new coach that they had high hopes for, but they were kind of like hovering around 1 game under, 1 game over, 2 games under 500, 2 games over 500, not playing particularly great. And then they go on a 9-game winning streak. And isn't it fascinating? They go from not even being one of the playoff teams. I think they were a 10 seed at one point. You go win 9 straight games. And I think they just lost. I think they finally broke that 9-game winning streak. But you win 9 straight games. Now you're 8 games over. Yeah, you go 8 games over 500. And now you're the 6th seed as opposed to you weren't even in the playoffs.
And, dude, didn't they beat the team by 50 or something the other night?
Oh, my God. Who was it? Was it the Sixers?
Yes, it was.
It was the Sixers, right? It was like 135 to 85 or something like that. Something crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
They're firing on all cylinders, and you have to wonder. They're a talented team. But they haven't been able to, put it together. New coach. Maybe it's starting to come around. 9 straight wins. You don't just pull off 9 straight wins. I don't care what was on your schedule. That was an impressive little run.
I agree.
So, and considering what has happened with trades and stuff in the East, they should be even more excited about moving up even further.
Can we play taps for the New York Knicks real quick? Can I sneak that in? That was
over.
You want to talk about? You remember last year how jacked I was in Knicks in the playoffs? Oh my God, they're a 4 seed. They're hosting a game.
Yep.
What an opposite feel I have today.
So I have to ask you the question, which is something that we asked last year, and we were wondering if and when it would happen. Has Thibodeau kind of, as he eventually does, rubbed their guys the wrong way, pushed too hard?
I think
has he run its course already?
I would lean more push too hard than rub the guys the wrong way. I think he demands a lot out of these guys, but it's his own fault in a way too because he doesn't have a really deep rotation.
It's true.
And he doesn't like playing young guys. That's his own fault.
I mean, we kind of said that last year about them, that they weren't exactly the most talented team in the world, but yet they got the 4 seed.
Yeah, and it was refreshing last year. I don't know what it was.
And what were the big upgrades that they made this year?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I wouldn't blame Tibbs as much as I would blame the front office because they made 2 bad moves. They substituted defense for offense. They let Reggie Bullock walk out the door and Alfred Payton walk out the door, and those were Tibbs kind of guys.
Yeah.
And they bring in Evan Fournier, who I never liked, and
they were trying to trade him at the trade deadline.
And Kemba Walker, whose knees are shot. He's
Toast.
a great guy. He's a New York guy. Whatever. He's shot. He has 2 good games and he can't play for 3 weeks because he just can't. He can't get together.
I really like him too.
Derrick Rose going down, huge part this year too. He was obviously the man coming off the bench. He finished like 15 MVP voting last year coming off the bench. That's how good of a year he had.
I know.
So they made a lot of bad decisions. Julius Randle lost his mind. I don't know if something's going on at home. I know he had a second kid. He's flipping off the fans, doing all this shit. And last year he was like the toast of the town. So that's another weird thing. They're young guys. They drafted Deuce McBride and Quentin Grimes. They're playing really well. Like they're really good players. But he just refuses to play. Now he's starting Grimes now because he has no other options. Do I think it's time for Tibbs to go? I wouldn't say necessarily yes, but
now you might, but you might not think so. But do you think that's what they're going to do? Because they're out of the playoffs right now.
Oh yeah, they're like the 12th or 13th seed right now. Yeah.
So if you miss the playoffs,
you miss the playoffs in a 10-game playoff where 20 out of the 30 teams make it. That's not great.
It sucks. It's so fascinating because you still hear players, even young players, talk about the feeling of playing at Madison Square Garden and how it's the mecca of basketball and all this kind of stuff. But yet they struggle like hell to bring in free agents.
I know.
They really do not attract free agents. Now, I don't know if this is
it's a Jim Dolan issue.
Jim Dolan cable.
That's from a lot of people. They asked Chris Bosh when he finally retired, and they're like, "Chris, what's the story with New York? I thought you were a favorite." He goes, "I'm never going to play for that guy."
I think KD was along those same lines too.
I was going to say he's definitely not alone.
Yeah, and the thing that's difficult about that is it's not like you can fire the owner. Like he's the owner unless he sells the team.
But
you're not getting rid of him.
You know what's funny about that? They don't have that issue in hockey because he owns the Rangers.
Very different though. Hockey's very different. Plus, Dolan doesn't have a lot of say in what goes on in hockey. He doesn't know what the frig he's talking about.
Well, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, no shit. Keep your nose out of it, dude. It's a toy. Play with it, but don't get involved.
But dude, it's not only, you know what it is with Dolan too. It's not only about the decision you make in the front office and coaches and whatever. You're getting a fight with ex-legendary players. You're kicking guys out of your arena.
Fans.
Fans. He doesn't have a clue, dude.
You talk about the Rangers. He's not doing that at Ranger games.
No, he's probably
pointing out Ranger fans, get the hell out of here, taking their season tickets. Like, dude, you're an asshole.
Those are probably his big dinner date nights with big other rich people, and he doesn't even care they're playing. And it's ridiculous.
Oh my god!
But anyway, sorry to interrupt.
It's interesting about that. No, but it's interesting because players really do talk about it, but yet they don't want to go play there.
You blow a 28-point lead without Durant, Kyrie, and Simmons. Dude, at home, dude. It's unacceptable. And no one got fired today. It's even.
You mentioned Brooklyn, and it makes it even worse. This is a team that's a 9 seed. Brooklyn is the 9 seed right now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In the East, now we'll see. KD hasn't been playing for a while. Kyrie Irving plays every other day because he's no vax, and Simmons isn't there yet. He's not mentally ready. He's not physically ready. Like what a bizarre.
What the fuck has he been doing?
I don't know, dude. He's so bizarre. I'll talk about that in a minute. I continue to marvel. You have to, at this point, say that Memphis is the real deal because they continue to roll. Dude, they are the 3rd seed in the Western Conference. Now, I know it's only halfway through the season, but this is no longer just 20 games in. Like, they're a real team. John Morant is a real star. He's the most exciting player in the NBA, in my opinion, right now. And what's fascinating about that, too, is that, Colin Cowherd, your boy, when Morant and Zion Williamson were drafted, Zion was 1 and John Morant was 2. It was all about Zion. Zion's a star. Zion is this. Zion can't even get on the floor. It just came out today. He was supposed to be back in December, and he's still not back. And now they said today he may need a second surgery on the same foot, right? Like this guy, he's turning into what was that dude for Ohio State? You remember that center?
Greg Oden.
Greg Oden. He's turning into Greg Oden.
But he's also starting to look like Geno Atkins. He's enormous.
Yeah, he's a big dude. He's a big heavy dude.
That's the one fucking good move the Knicks made. They didn't have to draft Zion. They got RJ Barrett.
Yeah. So it's funny because it's disappointing in a sense because this guy's a star. He's clearly got that star potential, but can't even get on the court. No. You held him out half of his rookie season because he was injured, and then he's just never available. And now this is gonna. If they do have a second surgery, he's done for the year. It's done for the year. So it's another season. You don't even see him on the court. It's one thing that happened to Klay Thompson, but Klay Thompson was already an established star in this league.
Yeah.
And lost 2 seasons. KD lost a season and a half, whatever it ended up being, but he's already a friggin' star with championships. This guy hasn't even established himself yet, and he can't even find his way in the court. But be that as it may, Memphis is a real team. They win night in, night out. They're 41-19. This is what I mean. This is not just like they're doing really well, or they're 41-19. This is a real team. They're going to win over 60 games. They're going to win, going close to 60 games this year, that's something. That's a real deal.
Yeah.
And they're fun to watch. They're an exciting team to watch. So at least the highlights are. Lakers and LeBron, 27 and 31. Love to see it. And the reality for them is they're friggin' stuck. They have no moves to make. Now, it's great to give up the future draft picks, give up players to win championships. And 2 years ago, you got your championship, and that's great. You wouldn't trade that. But now you got nothing. And now you're stuck with Westbrook because nobody's going to take that contract. You have no draft picks. You're not going to get those back for a couple years. And you got an aging LeBron James and an AD who night in, night out, you don't even know what you're going to get from him.
And he got hurt last night. He's going to miss a month. That ankle looked brutal.
Is it going to be a month?
Dude.
Oh, dude.
We've all twisted ankles before. That looked bad.
It's a disaster. And that's just now. Over the last 2 years, the guy's barely on the court. And when he has been this year, he's about a 17-point per game player. And that's unacceptable for a guy
but you know what? Let LeBron GM, right? Let him GM. Don't let
absolutely. This is what you get. This is what you get. Hey, you got the championship, but now you're stuck.
Yeah,
you're stuck in a dead zone for a while.
Game and an empty gym, and
nobody cares. Nobody cares.
I care.
And then but I mean, nobody cares about the championship. They almost look at it as it was a fugazi because it wasn't even
exactly.
And what a jerk off. I don't know if you saw earlier in the week, he said, what we should do? The Dodgers, the Lakers, and the Rams should have a joint parade.
Yes.
It's like, bro, you won your championship 2 years ago. Can you piggyback on anybody else's success? Dude, I don't remember you inviting the Rams and the Dodgers to the Lakers parade when you guys won, but you want to piggyback on theirs. Get the fuck out of here. You're such a jerk off, dude.
I can't wait. I hope his son, nothing against his son, but I hope he's not good enough to make it in the NBA. So this guy could get out of here sooner. Oh my God.
It's just that kind of stuff bugs me. It's like, you can't even just let the Rams. You got to piggyback on that shit. You got to ride on their. It's always about LeBron.
Last night, the Rams had a couple guys there at the game, and he's got to go up to Aaron Donald and hug him. Like, dude, come on, man. Just.
Do you, dude?
He's just nauseating.
He really is. He really is. What else do I have here? I mentioned that Brooklyn is they're the 8th seed, not the 9th seed. So they had that trade. We talked about it a little last week. Harden goes to the Sixers, Ben Simmons to the Nets. So what do you think is the short-term results, we'll say, of that trade? Harden's going to work his way back onto the court.
I think if the Nets have Kyrie, Simmons, and KD, with now size off the bench in Drummond and Aldridge,
Drummond helps,
and
Drummond is an underrated piece of that trade.
And you have, I agree. And you have now a spot up shooter in Curry. I think they can get their shit together real quick.
Yeah.
Where the Sixers, I like Joel Embiid, but there's something that's like off with him. Like he can like lose his shit and like not play. And I don't know if that was more a Simmons thing or him thing.
I think it was a more Simmons thing because
But
right now he's probably the number one candidate for MVP in the league.
But Harden to me is such a wild card. He's never been good in the playoffs.
Nope.
Who knows? He's probably just at a strip club eating wings right now, nursing his hamstring to get back. So he's probably going to come in out of shape.
It wasn't like he was in great shape with the Nets this year. So
I know, correct.
He was a little doughy.
And I know that they have Thibault and Maxey, who my buddy at work loves. But they're not proven guys either, dude. And you're going up against like guys like Giannis and the Bulls, and I would lean more towards Nets than Sixers here, and it's not close in my opinion.
I think in the short term, it's actually a win for both, because if Simmons was playing for the Sixers, then you can kind of try to measure like what the difference will be. But he wasn't even on the court, so now you're adding. Now, granted, you're losing a Seth Curry and a couple of those guys, but you're adding a 25 to 30 point per game scorer and Harden to a 25 and 30 point per game. It's almost like they switched roles. The Nets went from being so like big three centric and then there was kind of like everybody else where the Sixers were more of a full complete team. And now the Nets look like a more complete team and the Sixers are more, counting on two big guys and maybe Maxey also. So that's what's interesting. I think it's a short-term win for both in the sense of like, Harden will be happier. Embiid certainly will be happier with Harden there. And that pick and roll combination could be bananas. And if Simmons is even capable of playing, real basketball by the time the playoffs come around, it is nice to think that Kyrie, like there's one less shooter in a sense and a really good distributor and a guy who's 6'10" and a guy who plays really good defense because nobody else does on that team.
Right.
And to add Drummond is really an underrated part of that. I think it's a short-term win for both. Who's going to end up better with that is a really great question. I think you mentioned it last week, and the more I thought about it during this past week, I'm like, oh, it would be great if we got Nets Sixers kind of in the playoffs at some point. It's almost like now we'll really get to find out who won this trade, and it would be fascinating to watch. So, yeah, we shall see.
Kevin Durant tweeted out, but I want to hit on this real quick. He tweeted out, it was different in my day. Where we wanted to beat these guys and not play together. And someone went, foggy memory?
The guy who went to Golden State?
the guy
who joined with Kyrie Irving?
The guy who went to Boston. With Ray Allen and
oh, right. You said Kevin Durant.
I'm sorry, Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett.
That's right.
Yeah, dude, what are you like fucking kid?
It's too much weed.
What is
too much
going
weed,
on?
Man? It fries the brain. It eventually fries the brain. What are you talking about, bro?
Dude, you won your championship. Could you join Pearson Allen? Like,
yes, that's fantastic.
It's amazing. But dude, that's why they just give us. Guys like that give us this platform. I swear to God.
I totally agree. Take a minute before you start typing. Like, just take a minute and think about what you're about to say before you start typing. It would have taken him 1 minute to be like, "Oh, wait a minute, I did win a championship with the Celtics."
Did he think he was in Minnesota his whole career? Where did he?
And I like Kevin Garnett, but that's just
asinine,
stupid thing to say. We're not going to start now, but we may start next week. We'll talk about this week. We're going to start doing kind of like a post-season post-mortem on all the teams in the league, where we'll look at how the season went and what these teams need moving forward. And I'm talking in the NFL. Because that's really what we like to talk about the most. So we'll look at everybody. We'll go division to division, and we'll talk about how the teams went, how the season went, what they need, and what they'll look for moving forward. That'll be a lot of fun because I love that. I got to be honest with you, dude. I think I have more fun with that than I do with the actual football season. Because a football season, you're just kind of breaking down what actually happened.
Yeah.
And when the off season, it's all conjecture and bullshit and possibilities and hypotheticals. But that is so much fun.
Yeah, it is
fun. So much fun.
It's
never going to happen. Oh, yes, it could. Yeah, how? Well, this is how. It's the best.
We get to play GM for a couple of
hours. I love that shit. I love that shit. For the next, 5 months or so, we'll get to play amateur GM. And I'm looking forward to that. So we'll probably start with that stuff next week, which will be a lot of fun. What are you watching this weekend?
Well, it's All-Star Weekend in the NBA, and as much as I was a younger man, I like to watch all the Saturday night festivities and the Friday night rookie sophomore game. I'm not so much into it anymore.
No.
I might tune into the All-Star game Sunday night, but I'm off Monday, so hopefully I'll be at a nice watering hole, tying one on, which would be a goal. I tune into the Daytona 500 for a couple of laps on Sunday afternoon.
I get that. I like that. I totally forgot about that.
I crack a Budweiser can and throw on a couple of laps. And
beautiful.
Although the last couple of years it's been rained out, they usually finish it on Monday, and everyone's working on Monday, which stinks. But
yeah,
I'm going to probably tune into a little hoops. I'm trying to get into it for the tournament, but
College.
I'm still battling through it.
I'm struggling too, man.
Oh my
highlights,
God.
A little bit of highlights, but watching the games. We talked about this last week a little bit, man, or maybe 2 weeks ago during the week off between playoffs and Super Bowl. It's just hard when guys come and go so quickly. It's like trying to follow an AAU team. Like there's just new
that's
guys.
Good. That's
you
good.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just new guys every year, and it's hard to become a fan, of a team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the struggle. And I think that's actually a part of the reason why Gonzaga has actually become very popular among people who like watching basketball, college basketball, because that's one of the only teams that I can think of, frankly. And even they had a one and doneer last year.
And they might have another one this year too.
Might have another one this year. But they're one of the few teams that like the core, or at least most of their players stay for at least 3, usually 4 years. And it's easier to root for guys that you've seen before, and you get used to them. You've heard about them. You've seen them on SportsCenter. It's like, you've seen him in a couple tournaments. You've seen him in a couple Final Fours, you know? That's what we mentioned, the Christian Laettners and all those type players, And I keep mentioning Laettner because Laettner, the fact that he stayed for 4 years, there are fans of Christian Laettner, but there are just as many haters of Christian Laettner. But that is what makes it great. Mm-hmm. There were lovers of Patrick Ewing and haters of Patrick Ewing. Guess what? When there's both, there's twice as many. You know what I mean? There's twice as many people watching. That's the Yankees, right? There's just as many people that hate the Yankees that love the Yankees. And that's why there's twice as many people. That's why ESPN wants Red Sox Yankees every chance they can get on Sunday night or whatever, Saturday night, Sunday night game. So that's the problem. And it's just hard to get into it because, if you just want to pick up midseason, you don't even know what the hell you're watching. You can see that there's talent. You can see that they're good, but you're like, I don't know who that guy is. Like never heard of him. So it's kind of tough. You mentioned the All-Star Weekend. I'm going to struggle with that. I used to love the slam dunk contest. It's just the same old to me. Some of that skills competition shit is a little interesting. Whatever. I will be watching the Genesis Invitational. No Chidgens for me this weekend, so I get to sit on the couch and just watch a little golf. And it looks like it's a pretty good field this week too. Man, we're getting some really good fields early in the season.
I'm watching it right now.
It's not always the case.
Guess who's tied for first?
I'm going to say Dustin Johnson.
Scotty Scheffler.
Wow. How about Patrick Cantlay? Is he up there?
No, but he just put one in the sand pit.
Nice. Okay. And I will also be taking a look at the UFC Fight Night. There was a great fight last Saturday night. It was hard to stay up. I'm not a late guy anymore. You see the white beard if you're watching on YouTube. I don't stay up late real well anymore. But God, there was a great fight last weekend. And there's a really interesting Fight Night card. So you can just watch on ESPN. It's not going to cost you anything. It's not a pay-per-view. And in the main event card, there are 3 American fighters that are really strong up-and-comers with good records. They're all favored to win their fights. Might be a fun night if you've ever considered or have seen a McGregor fight and you're like, this is kind of interesting. I might want to watch some more of this. This might be a good night. Saturday night might be a good night for you to check out UFC because you're going to see some really, really good American mixed martial artists. So it'll be kind of cool. 56 Beautiful. In the book, big dog.
Yes, sir.
Well done, sir. You really brought it with those questions, too. I like that kind of stuff. I love when I have to ponder. If you make me scratch my beard. Yeah, if you make me scratch my beard, I always think those are good questions, and you did that today.
Appreciate that. Number 5. This is more for me than anybody else. Super Bowl champion, 2009 All-Pro, 2006 All-American, former Steeler and Michigan Wolverine pass rusher Lamar Woodley.
So selfish, making it all about you.
Number 4. Well, once in a while, you got to tap yourself on the back. Number 4, 5-time All-Star, 2005 World Series champ, 4-time Gold Glover, 2009 Perfect Game, former White Sox and Blue Jay pitcher Mark Burley was an underrated pitcher.
He was. For a while there, he was really good. I remember there were some years there I was hoping that the Yankees were going to make a move.
Yeah, I had that same thought. Number 3, 3-time All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, 1989 sacks leader. I don't know much. I don't remember this guy that well, but Hall of Fame Vikings defensive end Chris Dolman.
No, he was really good.
Number 2, 2-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler.
You know what it was? I got to interrupt you.
You
know what it was?
Interrupted off.
I apologize. I really apologize. But you know what it was? The Vikings weren't very good at the time. They were like an 8-8 team every year.
Yeah. Sean Salisbury was a quarterback.
Yeah, they weren't real good. So then you get a guy who gets lost in the wash, but he put up big numbers every year. Sorry about that.
Gotcha. No, you're good. Number 2, 2-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowl, 85 Defensive Player of the Year, NCAA and NFL Hall of Fame Patriot linebacker, and I loved his name when I was a little kid, Andre Tippett.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1,
that's pre-Belichick, by the way.
Yes.
So you can't even say, well, he was there with. Nope, he was pre-Belichick.
Number 1, I don't think there's a doubt in anybody's mind who knows sports. When you think of the number 56, you think of this guy.
Cocaine, Jack.
2-time Super Bowl champ. 1986 MVP from a defensive side of the ball. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. 8-time All-Pro. 10-time Pro Bowler. 1980s All-Decade team, regarded as one of the best defensive players ever, and that's right on topic today. What we mentioned, Aaron Donald.
Yep.
And a great fan of golf and the white snow. Giants Hall of Fame linebacker Lawrence Taylor.
2 things I want to say about him. Number 1, we talked earlier about disruptors. I've never seen any, with Aaron Donald and Reggie White. I've never seen anybody like him. I've never seen anybody like Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah,
like that guy was as unstoppable a force as I've ever seen in football. Like I've never seen anything like him on the field. Like just unfreaking blockable, right? And the second thing, which is amazing about him, the guy was recruited to college in North Carolina as a tight end.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Tight end.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So you mentioned him as far as rated as defensive players. The NFL put out a list of the top 100 players of all time, and Lawrence Taylor was in the top 5. And that just tells you how freaking dominant he was.
That's where you go, who the fuck scouted that guy at tight end? He's never been scouted again in his life.
Yeah. Now, what's funny about that is if you go watch like Lawrence Taylor highlights on YouTube or something, you'll see interceptions returned for touchdowns and good ones.
He's running smooth.
He really did have good hands. But boy, did somebody miss something because holy shit, was he a great pass rusher. God damn. And of course, I get to watch him shit all over the Jets in preseason and every third season. And so thanks a lot for that too.
He had the swag.
Why am I a Jets fan?
The earring and like the
dude. No, he was a gangster.
The bar on 17.
He was scary. I mean, he just was scary. And if you were a quarterback, you were shitting your pants. I mean, he was the original snot bubble guy. He's like, he would talk about hitting a guy so hard he gets snot bubbles in his nose. He just was terrifying and earned it. It wasn't just like a story.
Just ask bananas, Joe Theismann and
year after year. It just was, there's a reason he's one of the 5 greatest players. That includes quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So think about that, okay? 56 for me. Some interesting facts. I'm going to drop some math on you here. And for those of you who struggle with multiplication, like most multiplication we've had to memorize, right? I have one for you. So for 56, it's 7 times 8, right? Mm-hmm. But the trick to remember that 7 times 8 is 56 is if you kind of do it backwards, it's 5, 6, 7, 8. 56, 5, 6 is 7 times 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. 7 times 8 is 56. You like that? That? So I don't know how good you are in math, but you'll never forget how to, what multiplies to make 56.
Next week on the podcast, we go, please, dear Aunt Sally. What was that? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
All right. In your nose, there are 56 olfactory families. How about that? Did you know that olfactory was about the sense of smell?
I did not.
Dude, you're getting all this stuff in one spot here. Come on.
You're
Shirley Temple, the child actor. What does she have to do with 56? 56 curls in her hair. She was known for this curly red hair that she had, or blonde hair. I don't know what color hair it was, but 56 curls were in her hair.
It's probably red, no? Because the kid's non-alcoholic
It makes
beverage.
sense,
Shirley
but I don't know.
Temple?
I always thought that, but then I don't know if it's true. And if you look at if you find any pictures of Shirley Temple, they're all black and white, so I don't really know what the hell her color hair was.
Oh boy.
Don't
Let's cut
ruin
off
it
the-
for me.
let's
Okay,
cut off the
56
rails.
curls.
All
That's
right.
what's important. She had
All
56 curls, which would be
All right.
what, 23 on each side? No, 20. I don't know.
No.
And finally,
28
and
on each side.
certainly, that's what I meant. 28. That's what I was talking about. Thanks for helping me out there. I'm just a gym teacher. Finally, and maybe most important, how many men signed the Declaration of Independence? 56. Come on, dude. It doesn't get any
Beautiful.
better than that. What a great week.
Well
Lawrence
done.
Taylor and the Declaration
Dude,
of
I
Independence.
tell you what, and
all
a little
wrapped
math.
into one podcast.
A little good math, a little bad math. No
Yeah.
one's keeping track. We're all right.
Maybe on Sunday during the golf tournament, we'll come back on here and we'll talk Declaration of Independence history with our fans.
Why don't we wait till the 4th of July for that, Coach?
Sounds good. For Scott Bracey, I'm Pete Colasano. You've been listening to Bump and Run, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Later.
Peace. That's what I used to say after my old sports talk show at my school.
Oh, yeah.
No. I know what it was. It was I would do the morning announcements. We would do the morning announcements and record them like this. And I would yell peace at the end. And the teachers hated it because it was so
Oh, I
loud
bet.
compared to
Oh,
the rest
I
of
bet.
the announcements. So they would get pissed off about it. But cool, dude. All right, my man.
My man, thank you for a good episode.
Let me end this before you go. Don't go. I think I
Yeah.
can still talk to you. Let me end this.